Hello. Yes, I understand. Right. Okay. The next one, Artifact 2. I said it was a good idea, but left very few options to work with. And I just said I was too focused on trying to make a series of different adverts when I should have seen what was in front of me, like simplicity. So then that's obviously why I went back to Artifact 1 to make Artifact 3.
Yeah, it's definitely not about the quality of the artefacts, but about the information.
And that's what I didn't realise.
Yeah, great.
Okay, so what I've learned from my first one says lack of clarity. There's confusion of the message from the questionnaires. This is the feedback I kind of got. People were quite mixed with. When a woman said it's all his fault, they didn't really understand why they were saying things about men. Some of the people didn't believe that the people were believable. They didn't believe that they were like embarrassed or furious. So I know I need to reference student jargon at the beginning so people know what the advert's about, possibly.
Yeah.
This is the test now. I thought by isolating the voices of the women, can we establish whether this gives more credibility and a more powerful message than the one with the women? I'm going to show you two versions. I'm going to show you the first one and then what I've done now, and we're going to see if it's, well, hopefully from when I do a focus group as well, to see if it's more powerful message.
So when you say by isolating the voices, do you mean by making them clearer?
I've got rid of their faces and I've just used their voice.
Right, so does the voice alone establish any kind of credibility and make a more powerful message than if the faces are not there with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just saying.
Before you carry on then, why do you think that might be the case?
Because I think sometimes, I remember you saying to me, sometimes it's more scary not seeing something and you're hearing it.
Okay, so based on that bit of research or that bit of knowledge that the unseen can play with the audience's imagination, you're looking to see if you can use imagination in order to be able to strengthen the power of the idea that it's slightly unknown or slightly unaccepted, the actual consequences of drink driving. Yeah?
Yeah,
cool.
Basically.
Okay.
Just saying how it's progressed. I'm saying, this is what I'm going to try and find out for my next one. Has the advert got more credibility now? Is it more informative? And I now propose a test on a focus group whether I've dealt with the issues the first question they brought up to see if it's gone anywhere. And like I just said, trying to establish by using their voice, is that more an effective way?
Okay.
But I was going to talk to you about, I've already done 2 questionnaires, I don't really want to do a questionnaire, so obviously that's why I'm recording you now. I think I need to get people together and I think I might record people, because I don't want all questionnaires.
Yeah, you need to be able to look back at the detail of this. This is more qualitative research.
And I think it would give me more of an idea to go where I go next if I just have a big discussion rather than
structured, but
questions.
a discussion. Still structure it, is it in terms of, you know, areas that you're discussing.
But not too, like, you know when you said when I first did my questionnaire, it was all, you know the answers you're going to get. Even I haven't done it with my next questionnaires, but I want more of
more open questions that gives room for debate, definitely. Okay, good.
I just said this is my challenge. Can we now clarify if people now know what the advert is about? And then excluding the comments about men, is it more understandable? And then I've said about the people, I've selected the voices that I think do show the emotion. You can hear it, because some of them didn't sound, you can tell, even by just their voice.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to see if it hits you more and if you feel more about it from this sort of advert to the first one.
Okay. And how are you going to measure that hit effect? How are you going to measure that hit effect? How do you measure that? Have you had a look at any? How you measure emotions? How you know?
No, maybe I should look at that.
It's worth having a look to see if there's anything already set in stone which helps us to understand the way that we would question to find out how people feel emotional about something.
Yeah. And then I've just put my idea for my 4th artifact. I was thinking, so I hope to establish, have I shot people in a more sophisticated way after I had this big discussion? And I thought, I hope to understand from my next focus group if by seeing or hearing is more effective. And then I was just thinking possible, maybe I could try with effects of music. So maybe try and create the same advert I've got, but using different musics and see how that affects people in the audience. Okay. I'm not really sure yet, it's just an idea.
When you say effect, then you might come up with the understanding that it does affect them, but not necessarily does that, that's all you can say. What you can't say is that effect will stop them from driving and drinking. But you might work into your question some understanding of that in some way.
Like I've just said here, maybe using a piece of music that's slow, calm and peaceful, ones that fast pacing and breathing, one's that screams, got noise, just to see what impacts people more. I don't think I'm not trying to make an advert that's going to stop people, because I don't think it's ever going to stop.
No.
I just think I'm trying to shock people on a more sophisticated level.
You're trying to find out what makes them now feel, the
what
elements that may make them feel more apprehensive or concerned about the subject. Okay.
And then I've just put, possibly for Artifact 5, I can create an advert that hits my audience in a sophisticated way by covering all the areas. And then that's just it, really.
Okay, I mean, there's time to work out the detail of that. I'm really pleased with your understanding of some of the downsides of what you've done, because I think it's really kind of brought you up a level in terms of actually trying to really define what am I trying to find out, and how is the best way of finding this out, if you like. I mean, it's a hard subject, it's not easy what you're doing. Pardon?
It's quite broad.
I think it's quite broad.
No.
No, it is, and I'm glad that you're narrowing it down. I think with that simple ad that you've got, you could potentially afford to do more than one example of not just sound in that same one. You could possibly even look at more than one element in that one artifact, which would give you the next artifact instead of kind of just, because it's.
I don't want to be stuck after 4.
Yeah, so you might you might find that if you look at the first one, you look at the sound only, and then the picture only, and then also you look at sound and image. You have generally a good comparison between the three, but also you might show one that had visual text that slanted down, you know, so that you're making better use of the number of things you're looking at using one artifact, or a slightly different version of that same artifact. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So that you get quite a big range of information that then would somewhere in that find a much better justification for your next one, which might, in a way, your first one has identified women as a relevant gender to start to focus upon. This one might start to, well, there's a number of different elements that I know now can change their perception. So my third artifact is going to look if you know, which combinations are actually more effective. And it might even be that your end combination, you know, your last artifact, either shows a very small detailed about one of those aspects, or an ultimate sort of combination of what you found out, to see if you can then, using them in a different way, then increase that emotion or that feeling or that response that you've got. Yeah? So that sounds good to me. I don't know if it's relevant, but I watched this morning, I was thinking of you, I watched the most horrendous drink drive advert. It was so bad, I just thought, I said to Tim, I can't watch it. So he turned it off and hang on, I said I might not be able to watch it. I didn't say I wouldn't. And it was brilliant. And it was aimed at young people. And it's done in that sort of, again, we're talking about the context. You know, what does it mean to me? And it's of, I think they're American kids going along the road, and they're obviously going out for the day. 3 boys in the car where the camera is. The guy in the front seat, passenger seat, is filming, and his mates who are driving are calling to a car of girls who are driving along at the same pace as them. And the girls getting their tits out, and you know, one of them getting a bum out, and they're flirting like mad. Yeah. And all this time, you know, you've got this camcorder shot, and they're moving along, and then boff. They stop because they're just on the wrong side of the road, they're not watching, and a lorry comes along and just moves them out of the picture. And you've got about 2 or 3 minutes, or no, about a minute and a half of kind of really getting to know these kids who are really sort of like having a really good time. It's a beautiful summer's day, you know they're just about to start the rest of their lives, you know. And it's over quickly.
When the lorry hits cars, is it the camera that the kid's holding, the young person's holding in their car? Is it just like a wider?
It's the boy's car view of the girl's car that gets hit.
Oh.
But it's done in like a YouTube way.
Huh.
Okay.
It's done like something that you might get somebody to. You can sense it's not quite right, but you know you are looking at thinking, oh, is this just one of those YouTube disaster movies? You know where you go and watch it and it's a bit of fun or something happens, but actually it's really quite terrifying. And I think you should at least look at that to see. I mean, that's not about the physical sort of sound or image, that's about what you were talking about as well, the context of it. You know, how it needs to change, and that what our attitudes to driving and drinking, even though they change, they don't seem to have any effect on what we do. So, what is it that's going to make us kind of push the boundaries of that?
There's an advert on basically crystal meth, and it's one of these I think it's not a frank one because they're really lame. This one is directed by a famous director, and what you're talking about, things like breathing and certain noises in the background, like she can hear noises in the background and she's basically looking in the mirror, and while she's looking in the mirror her face starts to change and she starts to get cuts and just basically her face changes, but while this is going on you can tell why that's happening because of the background noise, and her mum appears and then you can see her wrists are bleeding, and that so from going into this really kind of spacey noise, it goes to normal noise, so it transition and everything becomes kind of artistic to real, and then you see what state she's in and shit, and it's just a panic. It's literally 3 seconds of panic, and then it just goes blank, and it's really grim. But I think it's what you're talking about, because it's what the noise is. It's the kind of feelings that make adverts real. So if you can nail that.
What they're doing with the sound there is they're making the sound like a memory, and it's kind of going over a whole period of time. But it's giving a bit of the sound is going from something that we can consider as quite surreal, but bringing it into the reality then, which is making us think, oh, okay, this is the now and then end of it.
Yeah.
Just have a quick search for that. Should I pause this now?
Yeah.
Can I pause this?
Just press the red button I think in the middle.
Let's pause. Just quickly see if you can put drink drive advert.
Shall I go to Google?
Yeah. Teenagers in car, put car crash. Go to videos.
There's a YouTube tab at the top if you can't find it.
Try that Pub Crash Road. Try that one. Right at the top, just quickly. Yeah, I don't think it's that one.
Is it American though, right?
No, it's not that. It's different. Put when they say it was American, I don't know. It could have been Australian, could have been English. It's dead early in the morning.
2012.
Yeah, try that. Try.
What? Right, 2012.
Yeah. Okay.
Might be if you there's a tab on Google, scroll up. There's YouTube. Oh no, there's not. Why do I have YouTube?
Okay, retype something in. We'll not try too much longer. Put in teenagers car crash drink drive ad. I know it's different, but
car crash.
Yeah.
Drink driving ad.
Yeah. If I had my phone on, I'd ring Tim now and say, where is it?
YouTube's probably a better option. No one really goes on Google videos.
Most of us are.
Well, yeah, I guess.
No. Never mind. Don't worry.
Okay, I'll have a look.
Yeah, have a look. I know if I find it, then
I
I'll.
just spotted the one now.
Oh,
It was that
sorry.
one. It
Yeah,
was really bad.
we kind of went on. But why I think it's contextual is because it's how you can see where it's targeting its audience, which you know. Actually, I'm not sure if your research showed that, but we know that it's young people really in their early days of driving are much more at risk, which is why you have to pay thousands of pounds for your insurance, because not only are you new drivers, you're also very excited and immature in that sense. You're not mature enough necessarily to reduce that level of risk. And it's done like a friendly video camcorder, like something you'd see on YouTube, so it's also attractive in the sense that it's something that people believe might be more real. And so you don't actually realise, you really don't realise it's not real until the advert until it's all over.
Yeah.
And so I think that in that sense, that advert works partly, I think, because it focuses on our current engagement with reality TV through, or reality programs, and how we identify that one with looking at people's real lives. And so I think that kind of brings it home a little bit that it's real life, and probably more real life than you would have on a broadcast TV in a way, because that's YouTube or Google, etc., is about people and the social networking of it. So it's in a place where you might just be watching somebody's horrific movie on holiday one day. Obviously, if that was real, somebody would report it and it would be taken off.
Yeah.
But, you know, and so you think that was a really good decision and a good ad, you know, for that particular audience. So, bearing that in mind, that might also be something you think a little bit about, which is who these street drivers are and how your ad. So it might be that you look at, you know, youth or age. I don't know, possibly that might. So if you make your next artifact, look at what you said, sound, but also look at maybe font or you know, you looked at a number of things. It means you take the same ad and you just slightly change it with things. Then you'll have a number of sets of answers about that. Then it will take you to a much sort of deeper level for choosing one of them or going on from that. Because the idea is that you want to get a bit more information, because we have had 2 artefacts that have led to this, but nonetheless haven't given us loads of info. And this way, you could probably get a deeper understanding of the overall subject in a much more efficient way, rather than doing one. Because if you take an exam, you could do that in 10 artefacts and still be working it out. So try and do that.
Okay.
And like I say, that might mean you have 3 or 4 of the same advert, but just slightly changed. Because you're looking at a slightly different thing. One of them, which you've kind of already started to do, the idea was the text. And then you've got more to look at. Which one is this? Which one is that? So good. Well done. Thank you very much.
Shall I show you the 2 now? I don't think you did pause it. No, it's fine there. But yeah, so if I show you...
swear at you, did I? Sorry.
If I show you the first one, which isn't the first one you actually saw, which changed, because you know I told you I made it too perfect. This is literally the Rawford dishes, every single person I got, and I've just started from the beginning. So I know that some of them aren't serious, and I know, but I've just done it that way so it's easy for me, so I can see how I...
Okay.
I'll show you the first one first. Yeah, we're actually recording, by the way.
Yeah, I can tell.
Doesn't go any bigger than that, but
That's okay.
I'm so furious.
upset,
I'm so disappointed.
embarrassed,
I'm so angry. He knew better.
humiliated,
I'm so ashamed.
furious,
I'm so upset.
angry, I'm embarrassed,
Disappointed.
I'm so humiliated, I'm really annoyed, I'm so furious, I'm so angry,
I am so upset.
I'm so embarrassed, so disappointed,
Why did he let me?
furious, I'm so upset,
I'm so embarrassed.
ashamed,
He knew better.
I'm so furious, it's all his fault.
You know, in the last 50 years, women drink driving convictions have increased from 194 to 11,151. Drink driving affects everyone.
No, I showed you.
I love him. He helps everyone, doesn't he? He's in everybody's lives, everywhere, somewhere. And he's so happy.
No.
I'm sure he's not always so happy, but usually he is.
This is the third one. How's he doing that?
furious. I'm so disappointed. I'm embarrassed.
I am so upset.
Humiliated.
I'm so ashamed.
Angry. Disappointed. I'm so humiliated.
Ashamed.
I'm so furious. Upset. I'm so embarrassed.
Did you know, in the last 50 years, women drink driving convictions have increased from 194 to 11,151. Drink driving affects everyone.
Yeah, they're the two.
What would you like to know?
I think I'd like to know how you feel differently from both of them, basically.
You start.
Do you feel like, from seeing them with it, because the problem I had for my questionnaires is people didn't believe the people, they didn't believe they're embarrassed, so I thought I'd play with the voices and see what was more effective. But what do you think?
I thought the first one was harder to grasp because I don't know what it was completely about
Exactly, as the second one, you're told what it's about before you see
from the
it.
start, but then you could easily solve that problem by adding a couple of lines for like 3 seconds at the start of the first one and just saying similar to what you did with the second one. The second one is definitely slightly more kind of, because I don't know, I found the second one to be a little more kind of, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but and the first one did look a little fake, but I mean, I don't know what it was completely about, so I wasn't completely interested. Whereas the second one, these words were appearing, and I know they were women, I know why they were saying it, and then finally it explains everything in kind of bold text, everything's clear. So the second one was more clear, I understood it better, whereas the first one was slightly like,
See, that's what I wanted. That's what I'm trying to test.
But I wanted. You said the right thing. There is no wrong and right
No.
in this process.
But I've now clarified that they
I
understand
think I agree. I think that I understood the ad more clearly. I understood what it was actually saying more clearly. I also thought it was actually more interesting because the way the words start. In other words, I knew you were going to fill the page with all those words.
Did you?
yeah.
Because I could tell where the gaps were.
Yeah.
They were nicely positioned gaps. But that's not a problem. But it meant that I overlooked, it kind of gave the whole thing as a much more overall look of their thoughts than individual single sort of linear thoughts.
Okay.
So it kind of gave me a better concept of women everywhere than that one. I think had you spent more time choosing the people and the women who said that, and there was more contextual evidence of why it was relevant to them, I think that might have changed the first one because they weren't that believable. You could
So
see
you're
them.
saying they have picked
Well, you could see them they were rehearsed. You could see that they were saying lines. They weren't necessarily
the second one,
with
No,
the
the
first
first
one.
the first one.
You could tell that they weren't giving you their genuine response.
Yeah.
Had you been doing the same thing with women who you had sat down, who have suffered or have in some way perpetrated or been involved in that sense, then maybe we would be getting a very different message. So I think part of that is misconception is about the choice of people and the way that they have presented that information, that I think could be changed visually. However, when you compare those two, the second one had a deeper impact on my understanding of the implications of it than the first.
Yeah, and the first one, basically, if it was filmed better, as in like you used a better camera with the rights, like basically some shots are overexposed in the backgrounds, things like that, and the audio, there's buses in the background and stuff, like because it's quite an emotional piece. If one was to film it like more professionally, then I think the first one will definitely have more of an engaging impact. And once again, obviously, if you rate the question at the start, then it'll be more understandable. But that's it, really.
Because I think it's hard. Like I don't know any people. Well, I don't know anyone who's been involved in a drink driving thing, so
No, it would have been.
so that with me wasn't an option. I couldn't.
No, it wasn't. I mean, but it's worth mentioning.
Yeah.
But yes, I
I
understand.
mean, realistically, yeah, I would. I would definitely get a better camera, and I would
Yeah.
I would definitely do those things, but they weren't an option.
No, they were an option, but they were one that you didn't take. But that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So
I
there
think-
you go. There's your results.
I think it's besides the point what you're trying to prove anyway to have amazing film equipment. It's just like it's not necessary with the point you're trying to prove. I was just generally
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. 'Cause that's what Deborah was saying at the beginning.
Yeah.
I tried to make everything too
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not about that.
Yeah, that's
I
what I
didn't
realised
realise
with
that.
my first trailer. I spent ages on it. It's
Yeah.
like, and it's not about the artifacts, it's about the research kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that the second one. I think the second one did things that the first one didn't do,
Okay.
and but that's also partly down to the filming techniques. So that would be it. But
So when you say that, I mean we're talking about like getting a better camera and.
better sound. Well, part of the reason I didn't understand the first one was because I couldn't hear them fully well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could hear them, but there was so much other background
especially
sound and stuff.
the buses made it like unrealistic. So
Yeah,
wherever
I
they-
know the one you're talking about, definitely.
Yeah, it's just like there's a contrasts. I
But
don't know.
it was also, the first one was slightly more intriguing than the second.
You don't know what it's about.
Yeah.
It's almost like I can't win though. It's almost like if I have one way, I wanted people to not know, but then even at the end they didn't understand. So
Yeah.
that's why I've done the second one, so they know what it's about from beginning to end and they understand.
Well, I think
it.
that shows you that there's two different types of technique there. One of them where we know and we understand it fully. The other one, which I think we would not have known, but would have understood more fully had we not had those slightly interruptions of sound, etc. So realistically, I think both of them potentially would work. I'm not sure if one's better than the other.
Yeah, it's hard to say which one's better. But which
I would
one's more
say-
informative is the second one.
Yeah, that is more informative.
Yeah.
And actually, for that reason, then I still think it's the better one
Yeah.
for actually setting the scene of what you're trying to say.
Okay. That's
Okay, thank
Yes.
you.
I've got my presentation and stuff as well.
I think you just have to press stop below the